So hi everybody, welcome to the live webinar on being inspired. And you guys have a quote up that you can see now that I wanted you to have a chance to read. This quote is really a quote that has inspired me for a long time. I remember first hearing this quote and when Wayne Dyer was talking about it. Do you guys know Wayne Dyer? If you know Wayne Dyer, give me a little number in the box. And I wanted this quote to be up, but you guys on the webinar, I am also periscoping this live. So for those people who are on Periscope and you don't know the quote I'm talking about, I'm going to read you the quote that I'm talking about while we still let other people join on the webcast. If you're on the webcast, please put your name, say hello so I can see how you guys are showing up and who's actually showing up. So here is the quote that I love so much that has inspired a lot of what I do. And the quote is from Patanjali, and Patanjali is considered the father of yoga. So if you're on the webcast, write your name in, say hello so I know that you guys are here and logged in. And if you're on Periscope, sign your name in too so I can see who's here. But here's the quote. The quote is, when you are inspired by some great purpose, some extraordinary project, all your thoughts break their bonds. Your mind transcends limitations. Your consciousness expands in every direction, and you find yourself in a new, great, and wonderful world. Dormant forces, faculties, and talents become alive, and you discover yourself to be a greater person by far than you ever dreamed yourself to be. So you can look that quote up. It's a great quote to have on your desk. I love this quote. And again, it's by Patanjali, who is considered, again, the father of yoga. Even if you just Google inspired and Patanjali or inspired quote, you'll find it. So welcome, webinar lovelies. I'm super excited that you're here. Erin's here. Patty from Arizona is here. So as you're logging on, please type in your name, say hello, let me know where you're from. Renee's on, Lilith's on, and I want to just get us cozy and ready for an inspiring night. When I was saying about this quote that I had up at the beginning of the webinar, I first heard this quote from Wayne Dyer, the late Wayne Dyer, somebody that I consider a teacher of mine, someone who made a very big impact in my personal life. And just give me a yes if you know who Wayne Dyer is and if he's impacted your life at all. It's great to have teachers and it's great to have people that inspire us, and it's part of what tonight is about. And if I'm speaking softly, I'm sorry, I have a bit of a cold. I just took a big swig of a cough medicine, so hopefully I will not be coughing. But if my voice seems a little quiet or tired, just know that that's what that is. I am super excited to be here, even if my voice doesn't quite project it. But I wanted to share with you guys tonight about the power of inspiration. And if you think about what that quote says, you know, part of that quote is about what happens to us, what happens physically, physiologically to us when we're inspired. And I love how that quote says, you know, you find yourself to be a greater person by far than you ever dreamed you'd be when you're inspired. And that your thoughts break their bonds. Your mind transcends limitations. So you want to just think about that for a minute. What holds us back from being who we want to be is our own beliefs and our own thoughts about ourselves and about what's possible and about other people. So if you think about if there was some way to get your mind to transcend its limitations, and that inspiration, when we're inspired by some great purpose, that our mind transcends those limitations and we find ourselves to be a greater person by far than we ever dreamed ourselves to be. Think about that. You know, when we want to achieve something, when we want to have something that we don't have, we have to be able to transcend those limitations. We have to be able to have those bonds, or think of them as neural pathways that we've created through habitual thinking over and over and over again. We want to be able to change our mind. We want to be able to transform ourselves from the inside out, so that we're not just taking 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. And so that quote has always reminded me about the importance and the power of being inspired. And I recently wrote what my why is. Have you guys heard the talk by Simon Sinek? And it's called Start with Why. Have you guys heard that, or read that book, or listened to his TED Talk? One of the things that he said that was really important about that talk, and what really made a difference for me, was he was talking about how people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And so being connected to your why is really important. And it's actually one of the first things in leadership training. When you join leadership training to become an Intensati leader, that's one of the first things that we do. We work on getting connected to our why we're doing what we're doing. Because in order for us to create our tribe, in order for us to have those people attracted to us that we can really serve and help, we want to be really clear about our why and why we're doing what we're doing. So my why is to inspire people so they can be a greater person by far than they ever dreamed that they could be. It's why I do what I do, and it's why I love to do what I do. And it's what I teach people to do, because I think it's so important that people can learn to tap into that part of themselves to inspire others. And I think we can all do it in so many ways, and we can all do it in our own way, in a way that is authentic, and a way that is loving and awakening is the word that I want. That part within us that needs to be awakened, I believe, becomes awakened when we are living our why, when we are really coming from that awareness of what our why is. And I didn't always know what my why was. In fact, I think one of the things that Simon Sinek teaches is that your why is not something you create. Your why is what you are. And when you are connected to that, you can tap into what your real desire is. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I got in touch with my why and the difference that it made for me. But I want to check in with you guys for a little bit first and see who's here and see who's seen, Simon's talk. It's so good. So good. I started teaching when I was in high school. And one of the reasons I fell in love with fitness and wanted to start teaching was because I was always really overweight. And I was on a diet when I was in 3rd grade. I'm 9 of 11 children, 8 girls and 3 boys. And my mom was always on a diet. She always was trying to, as we all are, trying to look our best and feel our best. And she would always go on a diet in between pregnancies, and there's nothing wrong with that. But her method was that she would binge or she would diet. She never was really understanding that the change that she wanted to make had to be an inside job, but that diet and exercise and restricting was her method of trying to lose weight and trying to be herself 100%. She wanted to feel good. She liked feeling good, like we all do. But her method, which was extremes. She would either be dieting or binging, and that was it. There wasn't something in between. And so I picked up that method because that's what we do. We learn by our environment. And so I did the same thing. And I was very overweight as a young girl. And my parents were worried. And so they put me on a diet when I was in third grade, and they took me to diet doctors. And they tried to help me find a way to lose weight. And they were really doing the best they could with what they knew. But it just got worse because I just developed this feeling of shame and guilt, like I shouldn't be eating, and I should always be on a diet. And it really influenced how I felt about myself. And so I grew up basically on a diet. And by the time I was in 13 years old, I was 212 pounds. I was very, very overweight. And I came to believe eventually that diet and exercise weren't the answer, because I started teaching and I started falling in love with exercise. I mean, it felt like this freedom to me. It felt like, yes, I found exercise, and it's a way for me to express myself, and it's a way for me to take responsibility over my body. And I was really good and really popular, and I was teaching classes and things were going great. And I wasn't really getting happier. And I always thought that being thin was the answer, right? Being thin was the answer to all my problems. And what happened instead was I started to get more obsessed with the outside and how I looked, because I didn't know how to develop the inside. And I felt that if I didn't look good, I wasn't lovable, and I couldn't possibly achieve what I wanted. Give me a yes if anybody's ever felt like that. Have you guys ever felt like that? Like, or maybe you feel like that now, that really our success or our how lovable we are is determined by how we look? Or do you ever feel like that, that if you are a little overweight or underweight, or if you don't look perfect, that really makes a difference of your level of lovability? Well, I certainly did, and I really still have to battle that. But Aaron is asking, hello, have we started? Yes, Aaron, I'm talking. Can you guys not hear me? Oh, that's an old one. There you go. So she says, Aaron says every day. So I was dieting and exercising. Yes, I was loving the exercise, but I still felt like something was missing, because I moved to New York. And you're still battling. Yeah, me too. Actually, I'm not still battling. It's come a long way in that, and I'm going to share with you about that tonight. So I started teaching, and I was living in California, and the classes were packed, and decided to move to New York City. And again, the classes were packed, and my career was going great, and I was being sponsored by Nike and Reebok and Danskin and Everlast and cover of a magazine, and everything that you would imagine a fitness professional would think was a successful career. It was going great. But the thing is, I kept getting more depressed, and my weight never was maintained. I was always going up and down and up, like 30 pounds, significant weight losses and gains, because I was dieting, and then I wasn't dieting. So I, again, was replaying my mom's old habit of extremes. And I didn't realize that that was the problem. What I really thought the problem was that I didn't have the willpower, that I wasn't strong enough, that I wasn't good enough, that there was really something wrong with me. And how embarrassing. Here I am in the fitness industry, and I'm having these issues. And I was traveling all over the world. I was being invited to Siberia and to Mexico and to Italy and to Korea, everywhere. I went all over the world to teach my method and to teach teachers about fitness and the new programs that I was creating. And it was going great, but I wasn't happy, and I actually felt like a fraud because what I was really doing in my life was binging and purging, and really my mantra was thin at any cost. That was what it didn't matter. I didn't care. I didn't care if it was something sustainable. I didn't care if it was something that was right. I just wanted to be thin. That was it. And so I did crazy things. I did diet pills. I did cocaine. And it wasn't just for the fun of it. It was really because I was like, oh, this drug will make me lose weight. And it got so bad that I was even using crystal meth. And crystal meth is an extremely addictive drug. And when I started to get to that point, I realized there was really, really something wrong. But my life was still going on. I was teaching, I was traveling, I was on the outside very successful. And I got a TV show, which I was super excited about. And again, it was like, yay, my career is growing. I'm doing it. It's happening. Life is good. And because I was really good at losing weight, I lost weight. I got super fit. I was wearing short shorts and crop top, and I got the job. And the job was a live TV show 5 days a week. For a half an hour, and it was the beginning of a 2-hour show that was hosted by Tom Bergeron. You might know who that is from Dancing with the Stars and America's Funniest Home Videos, and Lori Hibbert, and they were the hosts of the show. So the show was going great, and I was doing great, and I was getting fan mail and all of those things that you would think that somebody who is doing well would be getting. And there was just something in my mind that was like, oh my gosh, I know one day this is going to end, because I knew that I couldn't maintain my weight. I'd never been able to maintain my weight. So why was this going to be any different? And it happened. I got pulled into the producer's office, and honestly, I don't know what he said, but I know that he said something to the effect that you're gaining too much weight. What's happening? But I think I just was in so shock and so stressed that I have no idea what he really said. But I remember that being the turning point in my life. And that was when I discovered my why. And that's when I started living from my why. Because prior to that, and this is looking in hindsight, right? Prior to that, when I was working out, everything was about me. Yes, I liked helping people, and yes, I liked making a difference in people's life. But the ultimate inspiration was about me. It was about me getting followers, and it was about people loving me and people admiring me and people liking me. And I knew that giving a good class would bring people in. And I knew that I was making a difference, but it never really got into my heart. I never really was able to accept that, yeah, I was doing a good thing, because I was out of integrity. I was not living an authentic life. I was lying. I was doing unsustainable means that I was not proud of. And therefore, I couldn't accept that I was making a difference in people's lives, because I felt like a total fraud. And so that low point in my life, it was such a freak out moment for me that it made my whole life turn around. And it was at the point that I finally realized something's got to change. Like, I have to change. It's not the diet, it's not the exercise, because I'm dieting, and I'm dieting as good as the best of them. And I'm exercising. In fact, I was exercising up to 8 hours a day at some points. And I thought, I'm doing this. I'm doing what I'm selling. I'm selling diet and exercise, and I'm doing it, but it's not working. There has to be something here. So when I got called into the producer's office and that whole thing started, I realized at that point, wow, if I'm failing at this, there's got to be millions of people failing at this. And even though I didn't know it at that point, that's when I started living my why. Because that's when I started caring more about finding this answer that was missing, that nobody in the health and fitness industry was actually teaching or bringing into this conversation. And I started caring more about discovering what that was than about having people love me or acknowledge me or admire me, which was really interesting because I was getting a lot of that. I was getting a lot of praise and appreciation and acknowledgement, but it wasn't seeping in because I wasn't giving it to myself. I didn't believe I deserved it. I didn't believe I was enough as I was. And because I couldn't maintain my weight and because I equated my weight with my worth. Do you guys ever do that? Does anybody have that same issue, equating your weight with your worth? I mean, I'm sure there's millions of people because the weight loss industry alone is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And so I wanted to figure out, what is this? Here I am, I'm a leader in the industry. I'm not just somebody somewhere. I am the one who's writing the blogs. I'm the one who's doing the DVDs. I'm the one on TV. I'm the one writing the articles. I'm the one the articles are written about. I am a leader in this industry, and I'm not talking and teaching about what really works. And so I, at that point, had a shift. And the big shift was that not only was I shifting my reason for doing what I was doing, I had a purpose. I decided that I was going to take responsibility for something, and that something was for finding the answer. And I decided I was going to take personal responsibility for finding the answer. I wasn't going to say, oh, when is somebody going to answer that? I said, I'm going to find that answer. I need that answer. Millions of people need that answer. And nobody's teaching that answer. And I will be the one. And that's been my journey. And so I was teaching for 15 years. I was teaching dance. I was teaching martial arts. I was teaching step aerobics. Anybody a step aerobics fan? I was teaching everything and I loved it. And then at that 15-year mark was when I decided to find the answer, which was led to the Intensati method. And it's now been 15 years I'm teaching the Intensati method. And it's because of my living my why. It's because I have a mission that is not just about me trying to get love, basically, but it's about me believing that what I do matters. And it's about me believing that I can make a difference. And can I tell you, this is the best part of the whole story. A friend of mine says that being of service is a selfish act. And what I'm about to tell you right now is evidence to that. Because when I made this shift, when I decided to find the answer, not just for me, but for other people, when I decided to be honest and authentic and not have all these secrets in my closet, and literally I trained for probably 10 years with an amazing woman. Her name's Lauren Zander of the Handel Method, who taught me about integrity and taught me about honesty and talking about telling the truth. And that was a really big part of my healing. But there was another part of my healing, which was that when I shifted from I'm doing this so that you love me or like me or acknowledge me, and then I decided to turn it around to be like, I'm doing this to serve the millions of people out there who are in the same place that I'm in, I was able to stop binging. I was able to stop purging. I was able to stop using crystal meth and any other like crazy means. And these were things that I had been trying to heal within myself already. And I had been in therapy for many years. And I really believe that that had a big part to do with my healing and my being able to maintain my weight, stop doing these things that were so harmful for me. And it's just more evidence that this practice is important and valuable and makes a difference in people's lives because it's made a difference in my own life. And when I created the Intensati method, what I decided was that I was going to find the answer. And what is it that's missing in this conversation in the fitness industry that nobody's teaching? And I want to find that out. So I started reading books. I started reading Wayne Dyer books. I started studying A Course in Miracles. I joined Anthony Robbins University. I traveled around the world listening to different teachers, literally read a book a week on metaphysics or psychology, or, I have like stacks, I don't even know, every book I could possibly read on the law of attraction, on brain science. And what I realized as I was collecting all this information was like, I'm getting inspired. Oh my God, this is amazing information. Everybody needs to know this information. I can't believe this information is out here and nobody's talking about this. And I had notebooks and notebooks and notebooks. And I still do this. I collect journals and I write. I have stacks of journals and with great quotes and great sayings. And, you see this. We do this on Instagram. We post these great quotes and we post all of these inspiring things. And I was doing that and I had notebooks of it. And I thought, oh my gosh, here's all this great information. People need to know this information. And then I thought, but my life isn't changing yet. This information is great, but how am I applying it? I know I could meditate. I know I could do affirmations. And I know that being more positive is a good idea. And I believe that my thoughts matter. And I believe in the law of attraction. And I believe that I'm the creator or the co-creator of my reality. And I believe that miracles happen when you change your mind from fear to love. Yes, I believe all these things. I believe all these things. I was like, yeah, I got to tell somebody. But then I realized the information wasn't making a difference in my life. It was inspiring me, but it wasn't causing me to take inspired action. And if you've been anybody who has read an inspiring book and you're like, yes, this is going to change my life, and then it doesn't change your life, you know what I'm talking about. And I thought, well, if this information is so useful and so powerful, then how am I going to take that information and make it practical for people? How am I going to take this information that I know that we can change our mind, that our brain is plastic and that we can rewire our brain? How am I going to make that information useful for people? How am I going to take this that I now know that our state is a result of how we think, what we focus on, and how we move our body. That's a teaching from Anthony Robbins, right? Your physiology, your focus, and your language creates your state, and your state creates your destiny. Okay, I know that, but now what? And so I was wondering, like Deepak Chopra talking about the 7 spiritual laws of success and the power of intention. And I thought, well, I know what I need. I need a practice. I need something that's going to help me embody these teachings, something that's going to help me become more mindful on a daily basis, and something that's going to help me be able to decide where I place my attention and my focus. And I need something that's going to help me change my language. I know I should be more positive. I know that it's not good to be criticizing myself in my head. I know that. I know it's fear that's keeping me back, but how do I change my mind from a state of fear to a state of faith or a state of love? And so I'll tell you about just one moment that the idea finally came to me, because literally I was praying, I was asking every day, what's the answer? What's the answer? How do we create lasting positive change in our lives? How do we change? How do we change? And I literally, every time I picked up a book, I was living that intention. I was living that question. And I remember there were 2 points that were really powerful points. And as I talked about Wayne Dyer in the beginning, you know, that quote that we had up in the beginning, he says, your thoughts break their bonds and your mind transcends its limitations, and you become a greater person by far than you ever dreamed you could be. And I read that in Wayne Dyer's book, and Wayne Dyer in this book was talking about training with this guru. And I just remember thinking, I want to train with Wayne Dyer's guru. Who could that guru be? And I was walking down the street, coming out of Equinox in New York City, and literally, and I kid you not, this is the power of intention, and this is the power of living your questions. This kind of stuff happens. I'm walking out of Equinox, and I'm walking on Broadway. And if you guys are from New York City, you know Broadway, and it's a very busy, busy street. And I'm walking out, and on the wall, there's literally a piece of paper like this notebook size paper. And you've seen these things where people tear, you know, there's like, hire me, and then it says tear this sheet off, and here's the number. So I was walking by, and there's one of those sheets, and the writing is very small. It's regular typing, and it says meet Wayne Dyer's guru, and then there's the tear sheet that says the address, and it happens to be like in 5 minutes and around the corner from where I am now. Again, that is as I think Deepak Chopra calls it, synchro destiny, or maybe it's my friend Terry Cole that says that. No, she says synchrotastic. It's that kind of stuff where like magic just happens when you're living your why, when you're living in this place of you are on purpose and with purpose. So anyway, I take the tear sheet, I run to this church, it's down the street, and I get there and it's packed, and everybody's sitting down and it's and nobody's saying anything. And I feel like I'm the only one here. What's happening? Well, I look in the front, and there is somebody sitting there in the front of the church, and he's meditating, and everybody's meditating, and I was not really that into meditating yet. And I sit down, and as soon as I sit down, the guru in the front opens his eyes, and he says, you are what you think you are. And that may not sound so crazy and shocking to you, but when he said that, I just started crying, like tears pouring. I didn't hear anything else he said, because what that meant to me was, it was an affirmation that I was on the right track. Here I said I wanted to meet Wayne Dyer's guru because to me that meant, like, I don't know, it had some power, some weight. And I had been collecting all this information, and I'd been like gathering, and I wanted to know if I was on the right path, and I wanted a sign. And that was a sign for me. When he opened his eyes and he's like, you are what you think you are, I was just like, wow, this is serious. Like, I am on the right path. And then not much longer after that, I was at a Tony Robbins event. And I joined his university, and I flew to Fiji, and I flew to the Bahamas, because I was like, I bet this guy has something for me that's going to help me create this. And he did. In fact, we were marching on the beach, and we're in the Bahamas, and it was Date with Destiny. And he was talking about two things. One was how you create a state, which he said was focus, physiology, and language, right? Focus, what you put your attention on. Physiology, how you move your body, your facial expression, how you breathe, how you stand, how you move, and the language that you're using. And so I was absorbing that information, and I just thought, okay, but how? I take all of this information, all this that Tony Robbins teaching, everything I'm reading in the book. I met Wayne Dyer's guru. I have traveled all over the world gathering this information. Okay, but now what? Now what? What am I doing with this information? How am I bringing it into something that's usable for people? And we were in the Bahamas, and I was with Wayne Dyer, and not Wayne Dyer, why do I keep saying Wayne Dyer? Tony Robbins. And we're marching on the beach and we're doing affirmations. He calls them incantations. And we're saying, all I need is within me now. All I need was, and there's like hundreds of us marching on this beach. And we're marching and we're marching, and now all of a sudden I just go, and I am just, it says literally like stop in my tracks. And it was like, I don't know, a download, a lightning, you know, people say I'm struck with lightning. It was literally like that. It was a complete full body experience. And I just went, of course, a workout with affirmations. Here we go. A workout with affirmations. Training you to focus, training you to be self-aware, training you to use language, physiology, and focus. That's what Tony Robbins is teaching. Training you to use the power of intention, what Deepak Chopra is teaching. Training you to keep yourself inspired, uplifted. So many teachings from Wayne Dyer, so many teachings. Change your language, change your life. Change what you say to yourself, change your beliefs, like all of these teachings from the greatest teachers, from Patanjali, from the yoga gurus telling us, change your mind, you change your life. And I thought, that's it, a workout with affirmations. Here you go. You get to move your body, you get to physically embody, because what does everybody teach about the power of affirmation? If you're studying somebody who teaches about the power of affirmations, you're going to know that there's a very important thing to being able to manifest what you want, or being able to have affirmations really, really work. Excuse me. In order for an affirmation to work, in order for you to really have your language really make a difference, is it has to create a feeling in you. And that's why Tony Robbins teaches about creating a state. He doesn't say just use affirmations. He says use invocations. And the way he describes what an invocation, no, incantation, invocation is my word. The way he describes what an invocation is, or an incantation is that you have to use your physiology. You have to move. You have to breathe. You have to use the tone of your voice. You have to use your facial expressions. You have to become. You literally have to become in real time who you want to be. And that's another quote from Wayne Dyer. He says, you don't become who you want to be, you become who you are. But who knows how to become in an instant who you want to be? It's like, what? How can I be who I want to be if I'm not who I am yet? And so that's really what I teach. I teach how to be who you want to be, not by weighing something different, not by getting more money, not by fixing somebody, not by achieving the job. I teach you how to be who you want to be in this instant. How do you activate that state? How do you become? How does you get your biology and your physiology to actually be who you want to be today? And that's how I created what I created, which is a workout where we combine language, but not just language that we think, language that we speak, so that you're using your own voice to heal yourself. Why is it important to use your own voice to heal yourself? Because it's your own voice that caused you to be where you are. It's that inner voice that says, I'm not good enough, and I can't, and I'm not lovable, and I'm not pretty enough, and I can't, and blah, 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 blah. It's your own voice that caused you to be where you are. So it's only your own voice that can heal it. You're the only one that can change that. It's not an outside job, it's an inside job. And so I didn't even know really how powerful this practice was going to be. It's become more obvious to me, and more, I think the word is obvious, why it's so powerful. And when I created it, I didn't know it was that powerful. But it's that combination. And there's more, because you have the language. So in Intensati, maybe you don't know what Intensati is, but it's a practice of moving your body. So for instance, there's a move called strong, and strong looks like this. It's punching, right? But I don't say punch, I say do strong. So then you do the move called strong, and then you say, I am strong now. And you're literally programming yourself, hypnotizing yourself, which is what we're doing all the time anyway. Everything we say, we're literally hypnotizing ourselves. So we want to wake up. Sati means mindfulness. We want to wake ourselves up, and then we want to use our voice to create new neural pathways, new beliefs, new language skills, so that we can take our power back, the power that we have to co-create our life. And I say co-create because I believe we're creating with the higher power, love itself, and use our ability, our free will, to determine what language we're going to use. Now, it's very difficult to live from this state, but when you have a practice like Intensati, where you can just practice over and over, feeding yourself positivity, feeding yourself love, feeding yourself self-acceptance, literally practicing loving yourself, then it's inevitable. You have to change, because you can't keep infusing yourself with this kind of power and focused attention and awareness and light and not have a change. You can't. It's impossible. So anybody have any questions as I keep talking and talking and talking? It'd be awesome to hear your questions. Yes, I can see your comments. Somebody's asking, can you see my comments? Yes, I can, but I think I was on a roll and wasn't paying attention. So let me see what you guys have. You have questions. I know that it's a little bit delayed, so I can't always see what you're saying. But I want to get to the point of what this webinar is about, which is the power of inspiration and using your low points to inspire people, which is what I teach teachers to do in leadership training. So I'm going to move into what leadership training is, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, and at the same time continue this conversation about using your low points to inspire others. So once I created the Intensati method and I started teaching it, one of the things that I realized was, I was standing in front of the class and I would pick up the Wayne Dyer book and I would be like, Wayne Dyer says, change your mind, change your life, let's go. Or Deepak Chopra says, in order to have real choice. But I'm like reading it, it was boring, and people were rolling their eyes and they were like, can we please just work out? And so I decided to put the book down one day. I put the book down and I said, okay, here's the deal. I know you guys get a little bit annoyed when I start class with talking too much. You just want to move. But here's the deal. This class is different than any other class I've ever taught. And here's the reason why. I believe this class will change you and help you really have access to creating the life that you want. And I started just sharing about having been bulimic and just being authentic and transparent. And again, my good friend and coach, Lauren Zander, who was coaching me at the time, taught me about authenticity and transparency and telling the truth. And so that's just what I decided to do. I stood in front of the room and I just started telling the truth. And I realized that it was my low points. They were not inspired when I'd stand in front of the room and be like, yeah, and I achieved this and I'm certified in this and I've traveled around the world. It's like people are not that interested, really. People seem to be more interested in our failures and in our what's not going well, because we build rapport. And so what I realized was that it was my low points and my struggles and my difficulties that people were really interested in hearing about. And they were interested because, and this is what I learned and have felt really empowered by, is that when we share our struggles and when we talk about what's not going well, but not just from a woe is me place, but from a strong place, which is what we do as Intensati leaders. We use our own our own challenges, to share our journey. And that in this way, people, they feel rapport, they feel connected, they feel like there's an intimacy there. And that's a really important thing when we're doing a practice like Intensati. You want to feel safe. You want to feel like you're in an environment with friends. And so that's what I teach people to do. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Intensati leadership training, because you might want to join. And it is my life's work, and it's my mission, and it's what I love. And I've spent 30 years developing this program. 30 years. I know you're like, how old is she? But I have. I've been actually teaching for 32 years. And that's a lot. And I've learned a lot. And I've put a lot of this into action. And so I believe in this program a lot. And I believe in helping people have the skills to master their own mind, because that's the hardest thing. And I think this is that practice. It really, I know it's helped a lot of people, and I really, really believe in it. And so my goal is to make this a global practice and develop leaders and to help people embody this practice, so that whether you're teaching Intensati or not, whether it's of interest to you or not, you can be an inspiration. You are an inspiration. We all are inspiration in our own way. But just by you taking ownership of your life and achieving what you really want to achieve and being able to get yourself to make the changes that you really want to make, you become an inspiration for people. So whether you want to teach it or you just want to participate it for your own personal journey, it's open to everybody. And it's created in that way that no matter how you're going to use it, your first and foremost important client is you. So as you go through the training, you're actually taking yourself through your own personal evolution. And if you're teaching, you're just sharing along the way how you're doing it. And it's a really beautiful way to lead and to inspire people. So in the training, what it is it's called Love in Action, because I felt that self-love is really at the root of all of our problems. And people have asked me for years, how do I love myself? And how do I know if I love myself? And what does loving myself look like? And I think I love myself, but what does that really mean anyway? And so I've spent 15 years really asking that question, what does that mean? And what does it look like? And how do we know? And living that question, really. And I think I've come to realize that there are ways to practice self-love, and there's muscles that we can build. But first and foremost, we have to make it a conscious intention, because we're not wired for that. Most of us are not wired for that. And so I created the Love in Action program because I wanted to find I wanted to create what I believed was a step, an action plan for that, right? So if you know me, you know that the information I believe is inspiring, but it's not useful until it's put into action. And so I never just want to bring people information. I want to always bring them an opportunity to take action. So I created the Love in Action because I thought that one of the ways that we can practice self-love and develop that skill and that level of awareness where we are choosing it is by getting more in tune with the spiritual body. You know, we have the physical body, but we also have a spiritual body, an emotional body. And giving people the tools to also work on their spiritual body was a way that self-love could be achieved, because self-love is not a physical problem. So you can't deal with a spiritual problem with a physical solution, which was what I'd been trying to do and what I did for so many years that I realized didn't work. And so Intensati is the spiritual and the physical solution, because we need both. And so tonight, what I'm giving you guys the opportunity to do is not only hear about what Intensati is in the training, but you'll also get the opportunity to sign up for the discount. We ended the early bird discount. I think you see a slide there with it up now. a few days ago, but tonight we're offering that early bird discount again. So you can sign up if you sign up in the next 24 hours. And the training is in LA, December 4th, 5th, and 6th. So if you're interested in that, I highly recommend you use that link tonight to sign up. But I want to tell you what Love in Action is, and I want to tell you how the training works. So Love in Action is 7 workouts, and each of the 7 workouts will work on a different chakra. So as you go through your 7 months of training, which is virtual and online, you can self-pace yourself through that. Every month you get a program that's going to focus on what is that chakra, what do you do to balance it, what does it mean, what is a chakra, you can see that poster in the back, what is a chakra, and why do we care? And so I hope to give you some awareness of that, but not just awareness, but how to make changes to balance it. And so my belief is, and it's not just a belief, but I've been studying this for many years now, is that when the chakras are balanced, when we are balanced, we create that mindset that you can't really love yourself unless the first 3 chakras, I would even say 4 chakras, are balanced. And so this is the how-to of that, how to balance those chakras. So you're going to get a manual, which is quite thick. It's called Phase 1 and Phase 2. And it talks about the science behind the Intensati method. It talks about my journey and what are all the different elements that create the Intensati method. And then you get your first workout, which is for the root chakra. And you get that to prepare for the 2-day immersion. And the 2-day immersion is December 4th, 5th, 6th in LA. And when you come December 4th, 5th, and 6th, it's 3 half days. And you're going to learn the nuts and bolts of how do I teach an Intensati class? What does it mean to change your state? What is a state? What is some of the science behind it? You're going to learn what is the special method of the Intensati method. What are the key elements to creating an experience for people that is inspiring and not just inspiring mentally, but physically causing inspired action. And then you're going to take yourself through the next 6 workouts, but you'll meet with me once a month on a webinar, and I'll continue to mentor you and help you develop yourself as a leader. We have a Facebook page that we all talk to each other with and support each other on, so that you'll be part of that. And you'll just be part of this community, which is a community of over 500 teachers now worldwide that are devoted to bringing forth this information and this practice and being people who inspire people to be a better person by far than they ever dreamed they could be. And so I hope, and yeah, Erin is on the line. She says, I can't wait to start. And Esmeralda is a leader. She did leader training too. So I really am here to make the plea that you join me, because I think it's valuable. And someone's asking me too on Periscope if we're going to have other trainings. Yes, we're going to have another training in New York in March. We didn't pick the date quite yet. And we'll have more trainings. This one in LA is the 4th, 5th, and 6th of December. So if you're interested, but this date doesn't work for you, make sure that you send me an email, because I can put you on the VIP list for when the next training is happening. So we have 8 spots. Yeah, we have 8 spots left for the December training. So it's almost sold out. And if you sign up tonight, again, you do get that extra discount. So I really hope, if you're thinking about it, that you do sign up tonight, because it's always good to have a discount. And I'm excited. Who says that? Little Blue Angel says, Intensati training truly changed my life. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you too. And it's a powerful practice, even just personally, to take yourself through this and to take this amount of time to really invest in living the question, what is self-love, and how do I do it? And how do I get myself to bring out the best in myself? How do you bring out the best in yourself? And that's really what this practice is. How do you learn to love yourself? How can you make a stand for yourself? How can you be aware of yourself and even the things that are difficult, our dark side and our shadow side and the part of us that we don't like so much? How do we learn to do that? And that's really what this practice is about. It's about being more curious instead of critical. Not, how come I can't do that? Why am I such a loser? But why am I holding myself back? Even that simple question starts to get your whole mind working in a completely different way. So I teach you about using empowering questions. I teach you how to create a practice for yourself that works for you so that you can develop the ability to focus your attention where you want it to be, so that you can develop yourself to use the language that would best suit the experience of your life that you want. And that you can train your body not just to have thinner thighs in 30 days, but for a deeper reason, so that you can fulfill your mission, so that this body that you should so value and appreciate has many more functions than just trying to get people to think you're enough or pretty enough, and that we have to do that for ourselves. And it's nobody's job to like us or love us. It's our job to do that. So if you have any questions about training, or if you want to know more about it, or you have any questions about the offer tonight, please put them in the chat box. Esmeralda saying, best decision I ever made. Becoming a leader has changed my life. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. And it's true, when you step up and you say, you know what, I'm going to be a leader. I don't even know if I'm good enough to be a leader or if I have the skills to be a leader. I am deciding I'm a leader. And it's like that moment that I just made a decision and I said, that's it. I'm deciding I'm going to be the one that's going to find an answer to this question. I am the one. And you can say that for yourself in anything, in any area. You could just say, you know what? I am the one. I am the one that's going to make it. I am the one that's going to find an answer. I am the one that's going to make this easy. I am the one that's going to love me. So I hope you got some inspiration tonight, and I hope that you heard something tonight that was helpful and not just inspiring in that it opened your heart, but that it caused you to take action, because for me, that's really what inspiration is about. It's about moving you into taking action that maybe you didn't want to take or you were afraid to take, and that you thought maybe you weren't good enough to take. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in my training. I'm looking forward to seeing you in my classes, on my Periscopes, on more webinars. I'm just looking forward to you being in my community and in my tribe, because I really believe that when you step up and you decide to be a leader in any way, that you make a difference. And I love helping people find the greatness within themselves, because I think the more people love themselves, the better this world will be. And you're that person. So I hope to see you sometime soon. Have a good night, everybody.